Most people walk past a foggy harbor, hear a deep blast roll across the water, and think nothing of it. They assume it's just noise. A warning maybe. Something loud a ship does, because it's big. And it can. But that blast is not noise. It is a sentence. It has grammar. It has syntax. And under international law, getting it wrong can put two massive ships on a collision course in the same afternoon. A single horn signal from a vessel, like a container ship, can be heard up to 2 nautical miles away. Picture standing on one side of a small city and being heard clearly on the other side, without a phone, without a radio, using only your voice. That is the range a ship's horn is legally required to cover. Because somewhere out there, another captain is listening for exactly that sound to make a decision in the next few seconds. This is the part nobody thinks about until they're standing at a harbor wall watching 2 massive hulls glide toward each other in the fog. Every single blast is a coded message, built on rules written more than a century ago and still followed today by every commercial vessel on the planet. And today, we're going to translate it. Start with the obvious question. Why do ships even need a sound language in the first place? Why not just radio the other vessel and talk like 2 truckers passing each other on a highway? The answer is that radios fail. Fog blinds radar operators just enough to matter. And electronics on a vessel can lose power at the worst possible moment, in the worst possible weather, with another ship somewhere close by and completely invisible. Sound does not require a working screen. It does not require a clear channel. It just needs air. And a horn loud enough to push through wind and rain and the ship's own engine noise. And here's why those few seconds of warning matter so much more at sea than almost anywhere else on Earth. A fully loaded oil tanker, moving at a normal cruising speed, can take over a mile to come to a complete stop. That is longer than 15 football fields laid end to end zone to end zone, 15 times in a row. Once that ship is committed to its path, steering and reversing barely change the outcome in time. There is no slamming the brakes. There is no swerving into the next lane. The horn is often the only tool fast enough to change what happens next, because it is the one signal that travels faster than the ship itself ever could. Think about what that actually means in practice. 2 vessels, each weighing tens of thousands of tons, can spot each other visually with only a few minutes of real reaction time before they are within striking distance. A few minutes might sound like plenty, but when a loaded vessel needs a mile or more just to slow down, those minutes evaporate fast. So before 2 ships ever get close enough to need it, they're already listening. Every captain on a busy shipping lane has one ear tuned to the radio, and the other, quite literally, tuned to the horn of every other vessel nearby. Long before 2 ships are anywhere near collision range, their crews are already reading each other's sound signals, the way drivers read brake lights 3 cars ahead, anticipating a move before it fully happens. Now let's get into the actual language, because once you know it, you will never hear a ship's horn the same way again. 1 short blast means I am turning to my right. 2 short blasts mean I am turning to my left. 3 short blasts mean I am operating in reverse. These are not threats, and they are not warnings shouted after the fact. They are simply a captain announcing the next move before making it, the same way a cyclist sticks an arm out before changing lanes. Except this signal has to travel across open water and be understood instantly by a crew who may be watching through fog, rain, or total darkness, with only seconds to respond. 5 or more short blasts is different, and it is the one signal every sailor learns to react to without thinking. That one means danger, confusion, or disagreement. It is the maritime equivalent of someone shouting, "Wait, stop, something is wrong," right in the middle of a crowded room. Any sailor who hears that signal is trained to treat it as an immediate red flag. No exceptions, no second guessing. Because by the time 5 blasts are sounding, there is no time left for interpretation. Whatever was about to happen needs to stop happening right now. Then there's the long, mournful blast most people have actually heard without realizing what it meant. One prolonged blast, lasting around 4 to 6 seconds, repeated roughly every 2 minutes, is the legally required signal for a vessel operating in fog or restricted visibility. It is the exact same sound as a coastal foghorn at a lighthouse. If you have ever stood on a foggy beach in a small coastal town in Maine, or Oregon, or anywhere the mist rolls in off the water, and heard that low, steady call drifting through the haze, you are hearing the same language ships use to talk to each other, just broadcast from a fixed structure on land, instead of from the deck of a moving vessel. The lighthouse and the tanker are technically speaking the same sentence. There's also a signal most people never even think to ask about, which is what a ship at anchor sounds like in fog. A vessel sitting still, not moving at all, is still required to make noise, usually rapid bell ringing forward, and on larger ships, a gong sounding aft. The logic is simple once you hear it explained. A ship that isn't moving is just as dangerous to collide with as one that is. So silence is never an option for any vessel on the water, moving or not. Here is where most people get the whole system backwards, and it is worth slowing down for, because this single detail changes everything you think you know about what a horn blast actually means. Most assume a horn blast means a captain is announcing something that is already happening. Turn already in progress. Reverse already underway. Action already locked in. But in many close-quarters situations, especially when two ships are approaching each other head-on or at an angle and need to agree on how to pass safely, the first horn blast is not a statement of fact at all. It is a proposal. One ship sounds a signal suggesting how it intends to pass, port to port, or starboard to starboard. The second ship is then required to respond with the identical signal to confirm agreement. If the second ship disagrees with the proposed maneuver, it sounds a different signal instead, effectively saying, "No, let's do this another way." And if the second ship says nothing at all, silence is not treated as a non-answer or a shrug. Silence is treated as danger. Under maritime rule, if a proposed passing signal goes unanswered, both vessels are legally required to slow down or stop entirely until the situation is resolved through sound, sight, or radio contact. At sea, quiet is never neutral. Quiet means something might be wrong, and everyone on the water is trained to treat it that way, without hesitation. That single detail flips the whole picture most people walk around with. A ship's horn is not one captain barking orders into the void and hoping for the best. It is closer to two strangers negotiating who steps left and who steps right in a narrow hallway. Except the hallway is open ocean, the strangers weigh tens of thousands of tons each, and getting the negotiation wrong has consequences measured in lives and cargo, not bruised shoulders and an awkward apology. This is also why bridge crews train so heavily on this system before they're ever allowed near a real wheelhouse. A captain cannot afford to misread a horn signal, the way a driver might shrug off a confusing turn signal from another car. On open water, a misread signal at the wrong moment, between two ships moving at speed with no ability to stop quickly, is the kind of mistake that ends up in an incident report. So the language gets drilled into officers until it becomes reflexive, the same way a pilot reacts to a cockpit alarm, without needing to think through what it means first. This system gets tested hardest in places where ships are squeezed close together, with almost no room for error, and almost no margin for hesitation. Narrow waterways like the Houston Ship Channel, or busy choke points like the Strait of Dover between England and France, are some of the most congested stretches of water on the planet, with massive vessels passing within a few hundred yards of each other on a completely ordinary afternoon. In conditions like these, when fog rolls in fast, when GPS drifts by even a few feet, when radio traffic gets crowded with a dozen overlapping transmissions, all talking over each other at once, the horn becomes the final fallback, not the backup plan tucked away for emergencies. The actual plan, tested and refined over more than a century of near misses and hard lessons learned the expensive way, often after something went badly wrong. And it is genuine.